Today, our group want to present about unemployment in Singapore. This graph shows you the rate of unemployment in Singapore. Before COVID-19 in 2019, Singapore had low unemployment rate. The annual average unemployment rate was 2.3%. During COVID-19, from 2019 to 2021, the unemployment increased because of pandemic. The annual average increased to 4.1% in 2021, up from 3.3% in 2019. After COVID-19 at 2021 and 2022, all the economy sector recovery. The rate of unemployment slowly decreased.
The next one, we will discuss about how to overcome unemployment in Singapore by using fiscal policy and monetary policy. The reason why Singapore using fiscal policy to overcome their unemployment is because to aid in the development of the nation in Singapore. The goal is to foster social justice, enhance economic progress, and establish the framework for macroeconomic stability. For the government to dedicated to upholding a stable, long-lasting budgetary framework. And the last one is long-term balanced budget are the goal and adequate resources are made available to meet societal demands.
In Singapore, the unemployment rate was 2.7% in 2021. Singapore's unemployment rate peaked in 2020 at 3.04% and peaked in 2018 at 2.1% between 2018 and 2021. In 2021, the unemployment rate rose by 31.0% from 2018 to 2021, yet it fell by 9.5% year over year in 2021. In 2020, saw a 3.04% unemployment rate because of the COVID-19 pandemic, which also resulted in the implementation of home lockdowns and a travel prohibition abroad. In 2021, as domestic lockdowns loosens, the unemployment rate dropped to a 2.8%. Global data projects that in 2022, the jobless rate will drop to a 2.5%. In terms of unemployment, from 2018 to 2019, the average annual resident long-term unemployment rate was 0.7%. However, because of the pandemic related economic slowdown, the residents increased to 1.0% in 2020 and 2021. Since then, it has increased to 0.7% in 2022. Budget 2023 may see Singapore launch unemployment benefits for vulnerable workers covering a set length of unemployed.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I'm Wanu Afrina. Okay, today I'm gonna talk about monetary policy. Did you guys know why Singapore do monetary policy? Don't know? Okay, let me tell you why Singapore do monetary policy. Why monetary policy? There has two fundamental objectives, which is the first is to promote sustainable economic growth and the second is preserve price stability. Now, let me explain you more about why monetary policy. Singapore experienced a severe economic recession and a substantial increase in employment during the COVID-19 epidemic. As we know, in March and October 2020, Monetary Authority of Singapore lose its monetary policy stance to lessen the impact of the crisis. As a result, the Singapore dollar saw a little decline with the currency basket. Other than that, this assisted in bringing down the cost of imports, increasing domestic demand, and supporting export-oriented industry that were impacted by the global recession. Next, let's talk about the primary reopen. The first one is about the exchange rate. Exchange rate influence Singapore export competitive as well as the price and the availability of imported product and service. The second one is about the Singapore dollars exchange rate. Against a basket of the currency of its main trading partner is controlled by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, which is we call as a MAS. The last one. Singapore also make other option to make sure everything is stable, right? Monetary Authority of Singapore has put in place a few measures to guarantee liquidity and stability in the banking sector and financial markets. Okay, let me tell you what all the action that have taken. Firstly, they lowering capital and liquidity requirements. Secondly, enabling access for all foreign exchange swap lines. Thirdly, they offer to banks and finance business low-cost funding. And the last one, financial institution regulatory relief and direction also has been given to them.
Overview of unemployment before COVID. Before the pandemic, Singapore had a relatively low unemployment rate. In 2019, the annual average unemployment rate was 2.3% according to the Ministry of Manpower. During COVID, the pandemic led to increased unemployment in Singapore. The annual average resident unemployment rate rose to 4.1% in 2020, up from 3.3% in 2019, according to the Ministry of Manpower. After COVID, Singapore, like many other countries, implement measures to mitigate the economic impact of the pandemic. The pace and extent of economic recovery would depend on various factors, including global economic conditions, trade dynamics, and the effectiveness of domestic policies.
Here, I'm gonna talk about the future. Firstly, Monetary Authority of Singapore did concede that there will be a great deal of uncertainty and difficulty in the future, including the war in Ukraine, the slowdown in China, supply chain disruption, increased commodity costs, and rising interest rates in developed nations. Next, to guarantee a fair and long-lasting recovery for Singapore, Monetary Authority of Singapore stated it will continue to be watchful and quiet to modify its monetary policy as necessary. Lastly, it will also work with the government and other organizations in concert.